Hello, hello, hello. I'm gonna wait for a few people to come on the live. I got a topic. I got a topic today that I want to discuss. I think it's a big one. I think it's a very important one. Yeah, one person on the live. Maybe I need to not try to go live on the weekends. I think everybody is busy. I think maybe like weekday Gioni is the best time. I don't know. We'll see if a few more people come on, and then I'll just record my live anyway, and then put it to the YouTube so you guys can watch it later. Where's the chat on this one? It's different. I really gotta learn how this shit works. Is everybody that busy today? Alright, so I'm just gonna do my live. How's everybody? Everybody on the live, not on the live, everybody that sees this later, how are you doing? I hope you're doing great. And in the US, it's wintertime, it's very cold. And here in Kenya, it's summertime and it's very hot and coast. It's very warm, but in the last couple of days we had some clouds and it's feeling a little bit better. So let me tell you, today's topic is about this concept of a job. I think people's biggest downfall sometimes is they think job. I have a problem. I need a job. I need more money. I need a job. I got a job. I need a better job. Job. I have a family member who makes good money. I wish he shared, but he doesn't. Because that's not the American way, or at least it's not my family's way. I think it's just not the American way for families to just share money because they have it. But he's always looking for a new job. He makes good money, but always looking for a new job. Why? There's a lot to wonder about that. If somebody's making such good money, then why would you want to leave your job? Maybe money doesn't buy happiness. Maybe money doesn't just create contentment. Money doesn't create peace within you. Money doesn't make everything okay. Money doesn't fix your trauma. Money doesn't fix your depression. Money does not fix your abusive relationships that you're engaging in with people, whether if you're the abuser or the abused. These are all cliche things. Money doesn't buy happiness. It sounds like some what Drake said. Dudes with no money act like money isn't everything, but you know, Drake is the last person you want to talk to about life and philosophy and honesty and corruption and all these things. So for me, I grew up a real humble background, and there was never, like, I remember talking to my mom about allowance when I was a kid, because on TV, when I was watching TV, there was kids getting allowance. So I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, every Friday, your parent gives you some money. That's really good. And I was always a clean kid. I was neat. I was organized. So you could catch me on a Saturday morning organizing my room. I remember one time I wanted to put labels on my shelf that was in the closet because I wanted to organize things well. And I remember my mom being like, no, don't do that. She didn't like that idea. But to me, it made perfect sense. So in my mind, seeing kids on TV getting allowance, hearing this concept of allowance, or maybe hearing about it in school, I always wished I could have it. And I felt like I was earning it. I was thinking, okay, I'm a good kid, I clean, I take care of my room. You know, I don't make big dramas. So, hey, I must deserve allowance. Allowance never really came. It just wasn't part of my household. So, I found myself going outside looking for money. My pops, he passed away in April. We moved into his house, I think it was 1991. I was 6 years old. And he had a bush, a gooseberry bush. I don't know if Kenya has gooseberry, but it's a green berry, and they get pretty big. Not so big like this, but like this kind of big. And you can make like pies and baked goods and sweets with them, stuff like that. And whenever we had moved in there was some neighbors right next door called the Tapscotts. Their last name was Tapscotts. And I remember old man Mr. Tapscott saying to me one day, he said, "You go pick some of them berries over there, bring me a full bowl, I'll give you $1." And I said, "Oh, nice." And now this is 1991, so $1 could have got you a candy bar for 40 some cents and even a soda. I'm pretty sure in 91, $1, which is about 104 or 109 Kenyan shillings, could have got you like a Snickers bar and a Mountain Dew. So I was like, okay, cool. So I go and I pick this old man the gooseberries, and I take him to bowl. He was very happy. So naturally, I was thinking ambitious. I wanted more money. I wanted more sweets. I wanted more things. I wanted to have pocket cash when I was outside with my friends. So one day, without his asking, I go back to the gooseberry bush, and I pick more berries. But I'm noticing when I'm doing it, they're not as big as they were the first time. But I'm like, but whatever. They're gooseberries. It doesn't matter, right? I wasn't a Shamba boy. I was a town kid, not a city kid, a town kid. So I didn't understand the concept of you have to grow the berry and let it become big and juicy and all that. When I was looking at these berries, I simply saw berries of different size. So I pick these berries. I take them over to Mr. Tapscott. He goes, I'm gonna give you $1, but these are too small. He said, you gotta wait until they become bigger. And I'm like, oh damn. It was a real bummer because I thought, well, there goes my money resource, there goes my hustle. I didn't even know the word hustle yet, but maybe I told myself there goes my job, because I used to just use that word job too. And for everybody just tuning in, what I'm talking about today is this concept of jobs. I need a new job. I need a better job. I don't like my job, so let me search for this different job. My job's not paying me enough. I need a job that pays me better. And my first job that I found was picking gooseberries for my elderly neighbor whenever I had moved into my stepfather's house, and he had this gooseberry bush on his property. So I did continue to pick those berries for Mr. Tapscott, but unfortunately it wasn't like a very big income, and it wasn't frequent enough, you know. So I wasn't patient with that. But regardless, that opportunity that he gave me to pick those berries to be given $1, it basically taught me like the idea of hustling. You make your own job. You make your own job. Now, my mom can attest for this. As I was growing up, before I hit like a good working age, I was always talking about, Mom, I want a job. Mom, I want a job. Now, I was going outside and finding jobs. You know, hey, Mom just tuned in. I just got done talking about, Mr. Tapscott paying me for gooseberries. So as the years went by, I'm telling my mom, I want a job. But there was no jobs for a 10-year-old. You know, it's illegal in the U.S. That's child labor. So, hey, Jenny, thanks for tuning in. So I couldn't just go get a job, right? But I would go out and I would shovel snow. Or I remember one time I was at my friend's house, and the neighbor lady had chopped down 3 trees. So there was just, wood. There was just wood all over the lawn. And they told me, we'll pay you to help pick this up and bring 2 friends. We'll pay you all $15 each. Hey, now $15 back then, that was more like the late 90s. That was still a decent money, especially for, I think I was like 13 years old. For the record, $15 is like 1,600 shillings and maybe a couple coins. So the one job that did become available for younger people was the newspaper route. So when I was around 12 or 13, I went to the local newspaper office. I put in my application. They hired me as like a temporary. So I went with this girl, and on her route, I learned her route because she had to take a week or two off or something. So I learned her route. It was a very big one. And while she was away from work, I had her route. And it was a lot of papers. I mean, it was like 60, 70, 80 newspapers. And when you hang that on your body and you're small, and I was very small then, it's very heavy. It's not even an easy job. But I liked it because I was earning money. And every 2 weeks, they could send you a check. So I did my temporary job there. And then I got to take over one of my friends. He's actually on Facebook, but I doubt he tunes in. Jacob Newton. I took Jacob Newton's route. He had a small route in his old neighborhood where his mom used to live. So I took that route, and that was my first route of my own. But the money was small. I didn't like it. The route was fine, and it was easy. And the papers were fewer, so it was lightweight. It was easy. So, you know, I wanted more. I was ambitious. I wanted more money. So eventually I graduated to the nicest route in Trent, Missouri. I delivered to the country club route. I can't remember the road that leads to the country club, but I had both. Ridgeway I delivered on, and then the road that leads directly into the country club. I delivered that road, and then all the way into the country club. That was my route. And I mean, I was really hustling. I was small. I had like 80 newspapers to carry, and you have to be ambitious or you cause yourself more pain. And what I mean by that is those papers were very heavy, and I was small, so it really hurt my shoulder. So I would carry it. I'm on a bicycle, carrying this bag, and then I'd have to switch it to this shoulder, back and forth. But the faster you moved, and the more you threw your papers, the lighter the bag got, the easier the job got. And now you can just enjoy riding your bicycle at this point. Because I was a kid, so I was enjoying to ride my bike, right? So I finally got a job once I reached legal working age. That's where I met my son's mom. When I graduated high school, that's where I was working. Hey Lolo, thanks for tuning in. And but that job never paid enough. But I was ambitious, and I was in a supermarket. I started doing the orders for like a certain section of the store, and I had talked to the manager, and I said, you know, I want to be a shift manager when I reach 18. So they definitely believed in me, and they knew I could do it. I was the most capable one there. I know it. I'm confident that I was the most capable one. And then when one of the younger managers had the store one night, two of the younger high school workers that were my age, they were doing horseplay behind the store, and one of them broke their nose and bled all over the store. So after that happened, the manager said, no more kids can be managers. And the manager on duty that night was a college student. She was 20 or 21 years old. So I got disqualified, along with everyone else that was younger, from being a manager, yeah? Then I found out my kid was being born, that I had a son on the way. I didn't know it was a boy yet, but I knew I had a kid on the way. So I graduated high school and I switched jobs, right? And for everybody tuning in, I'm talking about jobs today, this concept of jobs, and how it's just never good enough, and you're always unhappy with it, or looking for something else, or looking for something better. So I switched jobs to make more money. I worked on a pig shamba for about 4 months, and then I left for the Navy. When I was in the Navy, I was full-time Navy, U.S. military, right? I worked shore duty, so I wasn't out on the boat. I was on the air base in Jacksonville, Florida. I was married. I had a step kid. I was raising my son's mom's first kid for 4 years. So I had a step kid, I had my young son, and I had a wife. There still wasn't enough money. I had a job, right? I'm working for the U.S. military. I'm getting paid twice a month, salary. I can be a lazy shit and not even do a good job at work if I want, because it's the taxpayers' money. I'm just gonna eat it, right? But I was still ambitious. I was ambitious. And it wasn't gonna get me a pay raise unless I increased my rank. And it wasn't, that's a whole other conversation about the process of gaining rank in the U.S. military, and in the Navy, it's even harder to gain rank. You have to go through a certain process, and it requires time. It definitely requires time. It's not something you can just get tomorrow. So I was still ambitious. I was kicking ass at my job. I was getting awards. I was Sailor of the Month. I was Sailor of the Quarter. I was Sailor of the Year nominee. I've never even talked about this stuff. I didn't even think about it when I started the live. I didn't think that I was going to mention that. I was what they called shit hot in the Navy, which means hot shit, which hot shit means you're steaming, you're hot, like you're doing something, you're good. But even though I was doing all this in the military, there still wasn't enough money, because remember, I was married, I had a stepkid, I had a son. So I went and delivered pizza for Domino's 3 nights a week. Not only that, but I was going to college. And I went to college only really, honestly, because it was free through the military. And we had been programmed to believe that we had to go to college. And I don't believe that. My own son is almost 17. And he has told me for years, maybe he's changed his mind, I haven't asked him about it in a while. But he always told me he doesn't want to go to college. And I support that decision, because I did 10 years part-time going to college. Community college and university. I got like a bachelor degree and a half. I needed to just apply for it. So I started going to college too, and I liked it just because it was something different. It got me off the military base. But as far as money, there still wasn't enough. So what I said I got that job at Domino's, right? And then let me just fast forward a bit. My Navy time ends. In the U.S., it's a contract. A lot of Kenyans are confused about why do you go in the military and then you leave the military? Because here, I can't say everything, but here, when you get in, you stay in. You don't leave unless something bad happens and they make you leave. So I did my time, long story short. And whenever I got out, I had always wanted to go to art school. Instead of going to the Navy and making a family and all that, I wanted to go to art school for photography. I wanted to do photojournalism. So I left Florida. I went back to my hometown. I go to Kansas City. And before I went to Kansas City, I went to Kansas City to explore, to try to see how the roads went. And what's the theme of this video? To find a job. I went there looking for a job. All right? Now for perspective, I'm white, allegedly so privileged. I got blue eyes, I'm straight, right? So these 3 things, I should just be a shoo-in, right? The way some people tell the race narrative and the way society works, you would think that a guy like me would just walk into a place in Kansas City and just take a job, and now I'm white and I'm employed and my life is good and my privilege is kicking ass and I'm good to go. But I'll tell you what happened. I couldn't get a job in Kansas City. I applied everywhere. Now, one thing, in fairness, I sell myself short when I apply to jobs, because I don't want to apply for a top position in a company and take on all this responsibility and then find out that your company fucking sucks. That your management's terrible, your inventories are all jacked up, you're not paying attention, you're unprofessional, everything, all this nonsense. And that's very common in the U.S. You can find a job, it's not a problem. But to find a job where it's well managed is tricky. So I was applying to food service jobs. I wanted to wait tables or cook, preferably wait tables, because what am I? I'm ambitious. I wanted to make cash. And when you wait tables in the U.S. or do delivery, you make cash money. Every night, you walk home with cash money, cash money. I'm white, Kansas City, blah, blah, blah. I couldn't get a job. But I still transferred. Even though I couldn't find a job before I arrived, I transferred there to my university. And I wanted to pursue, aside from work, the arts, right? I wanted to pursue poetry and photography and even comedy. And I found this open mic on the Jazz District. What's the name of that place? Juke House. No, Blue Room. It was at the Blue Room. They were doing a poetry night on Tuesdays. So I show up to that joint and watch the poetry. I didn't perform. But when I was leaving, I'm with my roommate guy and this lady friend that I was seeing. And we were driving by this building on Troost Avenue, 18th and Troost. There's a real big building there, a 2-level building. And I noticed that building whenever we drove by. And whenever we were leaving, the lady I was seeing, she calls out to these people that are walking out. She says, hey, what's going on in there? And they say, hey, it's an open mic. You got to go. It's amazing. So I said, shit, let's go. We run up in there. I do my poem. I get this big ovation. And I really like the energy there. I just loved that I was around like everyday people, and we were doing art things. We were talking poetry, people doing music, burning incense, you know, hibbity bobbity boo, all that good stuff. And so I started going back there to hang out more. And the guy that was renting the place, I'm not even going to shout him out because I don't like him. But just because you don't like somebody doesn't mean that they can't change your life. And at the time, I did like him. This guy changed my life when he said this. I went to him one day. I said, hey man, I just got this little camera, and I like photography, so if you ever need a photographer, maybe you'll let me know. And his response was this. He said, photos? Everybody loves photos. Everybody needs photos. Parties, models, rappers, babies, graduations, meetings, documentation. And I said, whew. I'm the kind of guy, I'm a Sagittarius, so I get to the point, and if you give me a good idea, I'm going to run with that point. I'll run with it. If it means something to me and I find value in that point, I'll run with it. And what I did in Kansas City, the way I truly survived in Kansas City wasn't the jobs. I worked jobs along the way. I learned a lot in the culinary field when I was in Kansas City. I worked in a lot of kitchens. Royal Stadium, I was working in a nice kitchen in there. That's where I learned how to work a knife properly and safely. I worked in Arrowhead Stadium. I worked in Sporting Stadium, doing food work. I did photography in the Midlands. God dang, I did photography everywhere. But for a company, I did it in the Midland. I did it at Kauffman Stadium, but as a freelance. And that's the whole point of the video, is I found work with that camera. When that guy told me everybody needs photos, I said, all right, shit, tell me a good thing. I'm going to make notes. You know, so I start making notes, carrying around a notebook. I see somebody outside. I say, hey, I do photos. Let me know if you ever need some. I take their name. I write their number down. I was doing it real old school, you know. And the point is this. Someone's biggest detriment in life may very well be, and there's exceptions to every rule, and there's going to be exceptions to what I'm about to say. But someone's biggest detriment may simply be you think about jobs. What about a job? It's like you're waiting for that job to come, that magical fairy tale job that's going to make you what? Comfortably wealthy? To do what? To buy a bigger TV, to buy a 30-year mortgage on a house, to go buy name brands to hide your depression and anxiety. And it goes back to the beginning of the video, and I'm going to run this back on YouTube so you guys can see the same thing. We all know the cliche saying that money doesn't buy happiness, but beyond that, money doesn't hide your depression. It doesn't hide your anxiety, your insecurities, your low self-esteem. It doesn't fix your trauma. It's just a mask. It's a Band-Aid. It's like putting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. So the advice that I wanted to give today, and it's not going to work for everybody. Like, everybody's not ambitious. Like, I used to want to save the world, and I used to want to boost everybody. I wanted to help everybody. But the more I did business in the last 15 years of my adult life, the more I've done business, the more I've realized everybody's not made for business. Some people are made to be the worker, and that's okay. It's not an insult. Some people don't have the organizational skills, or they don't have the vision, or the creativity, or perhaps competence, but that's super common in the jobs, in the workplace. There's a lot of incompetence in those jobs. So, at least try. Maybe it's not for you, but maybe you'll find out it is. Stop thinking about jobs and create your job the way I did when I was picking the gooseberries for the neighbor. And remember, Mr. Tapscott is the one that told me to bring those gooseberries. I didn't know that I could pick those berries and take them to him. He gave me a seed of thought. And the way my mind is, hey, I was watering that seed in my mind and started chasing that money down. I'm still not wealthy to this day because I chose that art. What I say I did in Kansas City, I survived with the photography and kitchen jobs. I didn't say I became wealthy. I didn't say I became rich. I didn't say I thrived, but I did live a good life. And with the photography, there's a lot of benefits that come into that life that might not be economical, financial, fiat currency. So think about what you're good at. Think about what you love to do. The question is why, if you think job, most people, I think it's safe to say most people are not passionate about their job. They're doing the job because it's a paycheck, especially warehouse workers or factory workers. You're not passionate about that job. No one's passionate about moving pallets and moving boxes. Nobody's, I don't know, you could find more passion at a petrol station, taking care of your customers and moving up to GM and running your own store, buying your own franchise. But again, that goes back to ambition. But you got to ask yourself, why are you living without passion? Because a passionless person just thinks of a job and enough money to survive. Think about what you love. Even if it's something you lost touch with in your adult years, there's something you loved when you were a kid, And you hone that craft the best you can. You refine it. And then, even if you have to enlist the help of a friend or someone else or pay someone to help guide you, you package that into some kind of business plan. And you start finding your way out. There's another saying that if you can't beat them, you join them. But I was just thinking before I hit live, I was thinking, if you can't join them, then beat them. And that goes into even this conversation about tribalism in Kenya, about maybe a Kikuyu doesn't want to hire a Luo, or maybe a Luo doesn't want to hire a Luya. You know what? So be it. You go start your own shop. Of course, there's a capital conversation. I know it's not that simple, but as far as the principles of thought is what we're focusing on right now, about how to perceive the situation you're faced with and what are your solutions. Obviously, capital is part of the solution. That's just one part. The first part is how you think about it and how you perceive it. So, the first lesson I learned in Kansas City, that guy that told me everybody loves photos. Everybody wants photos. I learned over the course of the months that the guy was a great talker. Very smooth talker, full of good ideas. Ideas are cheap. If you're creative in particular, ideas are cheap. What I mean by that is they're a dime a dozen. It's not hard to come up with an idea. The where you see who you really are, and the tricky part, and the part where a lot of people fall short, is the execution of the idea. You have to execute it. By the end of that year, 2009, after hanging out with that guy all year, I learned that he was talking way more than he was doing. So yeah, I could have joined them. I had joined them. I even stayed in their studio with them for 2 months, and I was the only person that paid rent. But once I realized the wavelength they were truly on, and the pace that they were moving, and how loose everything was, I'm not saying to be rigid, but you can't have everything just everywhere and expect for things to move in the right direction. You can't allow chaos to be around you at all times. So by the end of that year, I said, I can't join these guys. I can't join them. And it's not a competition, but what's the other side of joining? It's beating them, right? So I just went and said, hey, I have vision, I have ability, I have talent. And in that year, I had gained a lot of connections. Just like in Kenya, over there, everybody knew me as that white dude. The white dude with the long hair and the red pickup truck. The white dude doing poetry. The white dude rapping. The white dude that did the photography. The white dude at the Truth Festival. I said, hey, I'm going to go make my own brand. And that turned into Matt Diamond Flix, And that was 2009. So this is what, 2021? Right? So that's 12 years, going on 13 years. Matt Diamond Flix hasn't made me wealthy, but it's taken me around the world. I photographed celebrities. I was on stage with 2 Chainz in Kansas City. I don't even brag about this shit. Hey, it's just life. It's just things that I experience. But what it does, even if it's not making you wealthy yet, it's paving the way for your future. And it's paving the way for how you continue to perceive these things that are happening to you in this life. Because this life is very unfair to the blacks, to the whites. The ones I see doing the best are the Asians and Latinos, because they get up and they do their own shit. They're ambitious. They start restaurants, you know, they do home repairs, all these different things, and they do nice. The Mexican food is nice. Mexican paint job on a house is nice. Asian food is nice. Are they the friendliest people when you go in there? No, but their food is nice. You didn't go there to be their friend. You went there to eat their food. You know what I'm saying? So, just to cap this whole thing, let me reiterate. I think the biggest problem that a lot of people have in this life and where they find themselves cheating themselves is they think about job, 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 job. In the U.S., 600,000 people kill themselves each year. 600,000. And the vast majority of them are white men, allegedly the most privileged ones, right? The jobs are a dime a dozen. Sometimes big money can be cheap in the U.S., depending on how corrupt you want to be and what kind of shitty job you want to work for and what kind of shit you want to deal with from your employer. Just because the job is there and easy and the money's there, it doesn't buy the happiness, right? Don't find yourself living a passionless life where you're always looking for a new and better job, because you're not going to find it. Like I say, there's an exception to everything that I'm saying. You might find your dream job. It might be your dream job for 6 months. I know so many people that were so happy about the job they got, and 6 months later, they want to go to work with a baseball bat and start knocking people out because they're so frustrated. Dig into like what you're passionate about. Dig into what you care about, and figure out how that can be monetized in some way so that you can sustain yourself. And for the love of God, get over this idea of job, 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 working for another man, unless it's just completely beyond your capability. And if you're still going to look for a job, look for an employer that has passion and vision and compassion, so that you can at least not be miserable at your job. So that's my piece on jobs and pursuing a life with passion and creating opportunities for yourself. I hope, I'm sure, somebody's able to take something from what I said and run with it the same way that guy told me everybody loves photos. Or the same way Mr. Tapscott said, bring me those berries, I'll give you $1. So all I'm doing is passing the olive branch to you because somebody passed it to me. You don't have to like the person that passed it to you. What's important is they passed it to you. And what's also important is that you pass it on. Sawa sawa. I'll see you guys later. Peace and love, Kenya.